in the book, you interview several of these neo-Nazi hard-right veterans. I just want to begin by asking you about one of the most fascinating points that I found in those interviews, and that's their sense of betrayal, their sense of abandonment.
Yeah, I mean, but many of them who were sent off to Iraq and Afghanistan did not believe in the war on terror. That was one of the interesting takeaways from doing all those interviews, because I came into it thinking, well, this is a martial ideology that, and it's a country full of brown people. So if you send racists there, they want to go and kill people. But and of course they did kill people, but many of them said the reason they signed up and went out to the Middle East was because they wanted to get training courtesy of the US taxpayer, and bring that training back to the United States for what they call Yahawah, which is racial holy war, which is this idea that America will descend into a civil war with all the races pitted against each other, which will end with a white supremacist regime in Washington. And there has been many cases of veterans actually plotting and carrying out domestic attacks who were trained in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it was a hugely eye-opening experience. It's also interesting how open they were about their experiences, because the other thing is, you would think that they would want to keep it quiet, but the story that they were telling was that they were not only welcomed, they were promoted because of their ideology while in Iraq, particularly. Forrest Fogarty, who is one of the neo-Nazis I interviewed, I went down to Tampa, Florida to interview him, and ended up going to the zoo with him and his kids, actually. But he was talking about how his commander would say to him, "I like the fact you're a Nazi," and he said that he sent him on the hardest missions, and liked the fact that he saw him as a warrior. Now, obviously, that's him saying that. I can't say that it's true, but that was an experience I got from many of the neo-Nazi veterans I talked to, that they were welcomed and treated in a way that was like, well, it's good to have you in here, boys.
All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawahshi, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash. This is the brother of Bakala Walam, with another hopeful, edifying lesson to the elect body of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawahshi. I just wanted to share that video, right? He was talking, the guy, this channel, from the, I don't know the guy's name he was interviewing from, Chris Edge channel. It was just like he interviewed a lot of far right veterans that was basically in the white nationalists or pro white groups, you know, and a lot of them joined the military just to gain the military training to come back to America, courtesy of the taxpayers, right? To come back to the Americas and basically have a holy war where all the races come together. And their ideology is that the whites, or the so-called white people, which are the Edomites, will come out on top and rule DC. And like he also said this, that they didn't even believe in the actual terrorism, right? They didn't actually believe in that, right?
The Middle East was because they wanted to get training courtesy of the US taxpayer, and bring that training back.
So
martial ideology that, and it's a country full of brown people. So if you send racists there, they want to go and kill people. But and of course they did kill people, but many of them said the reason they signed up and went out to the Middle East was because they wanted to get training courtesy of the US taxpayer, and bring that training back to the United States for what they call Yahawah, which is racial holy war, which is this.
So I guess back a little bit further.
I want to begin by asking you about one of the most fascinating points that I found in those interviews, and that's their sense of betrayal, their sense of abandonment.
Yeah, I mean, but many of them who were sent off to Iraq and Afghanistan did not believe in the war on terror. That was one of the interesting takeaways from doing all those interviews, because I came into it thinking, well, this is a marsh.
You heard what he said. He says many of them didn't believe in the war on terror. They didn't believe in it because more or less these Edomites, when you get over there, of course, when you get over there, you're going to know that what's really going on. You're on the battlefield, and most definitely these Edomites, they're going to know first experience what's really going on, because they basically are in control of the whole situation. Then when you're out there, firsthand what you're up against. And a lot of these people see that they're not fighting military or like military, other military personnel. You're basically fighting civilians. So they know it was basically what it is, BS. And like he said, they didn't even believe. A lot of them didn't believe on the war on terror. And that's why their intentions is what? A lot of them intentions was to join the military, gain the training, the military combat training, come back to America and prepare for this holy war where all the races gonna come against each other, which the Lord said. That's a prophecy, right? It says that nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. This is Mark 13:7. It says, and when ye shall hear, when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. For such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrow. So basically, nation is going to rise against nation, right? There's a prophecy. There's going to be race wars, right? In the Americas, all over the world, right? Most definitely in Babylon the Great. It's another precept. The Lord says He's going to send division on the earth also. That's of Isaiah 19 and verse 1. It says, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord Yahawah rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So that's more or less division, on the basically on the scale of division, right? It is really not. It's not talking about a nation, but still it's talking about division. People are going to be against each other. These Egyptians are going to be against each other, right? So everybody's more or less in the can fall in the classified category as an Egyptian, right? You got so-called white Egyptians, right? Because America is spiritually Egypt, black, or whoever's here. Everybody's considered an Egyptian in America. Can be considered in a modern, but primarily Esau, Edom, right? But everybody else also, you'll fall in that category of an Egyptian, because you're living in the land of Egypt, spiritually Egypt, and you can fall in that category. So the Egyptians going to be divided against each other, right? Nation, city against city, kingdom against kingdom, right? So basically, these Edomites are preparing for war for Jake, and Jake don't know it, more or less, like the scripture says in Jeremiah 30. This is Jacob's trouble, right? Jeremiah chapter 30:7, it says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." Right? So the time of Jacob's trouble, they're gonna have all these class wars, race wars. There's gonna be all type of plagues and pestilence. The sword is a plague out here, and the Lord is gonna allow this devil to do what he needs to do on the left hand side, right? And these Edomites, they're preparing for war. They're prepping for division. They stocking up arms. They're prepping. Most definitely stocking up arms, because that's Esau's blessing. And a lot of them are prepared for war, race wars, right? That's what their intentions is. That's why you got these different several white supremacist groups out here, right? Because they're preparing for that nation against nation prophecy. And that's what these devils are. The Lord said, see, they preparing. Jake ain't thinking like that for the most part. Some of them may be, but not on a scale like Esau. They might be preparing themselves. Some Jake out there can see, and they're wise to, they're wise about what's really going on in the world. But a lot of them not. They think Esau is their buddy. They think Esau is for them. But these devils are not for them, man. A lot of them going to find out the hard way. Right? Because Esau is plotting to put you to death. The wicked, which is thy sword. Because you don't know the intentions. And like he said, he pointed out, a lot of them got promoted. And we are glad you're with you. He said that's what a lot of them was promoted. He's going based upon what he's hearing. He don't know how true it is, but I can believe it. They're being promoted, and they like the ideology. And that's a lot of these Edomites. Well, these Edomites, period, that's what they're preparing, man. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 17 and 13. It says, "Arise, O Yahawah, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." Right? So, because you don't know these intentions of these Edomites, man. They, like he said some of them, and I don't think they have any reason to lie about it. Some of them got promoted through their ideology. Some of them got open arm welcome type because of what they believe in. These Edomites, they got a perpetual hatred, as the scripture says. They got a perpetual hatred against Jake. So that's basically factual. This hatred which the Lord put between the two nations, Jacob and Esau. It does exist, what they call racism, white supremacy, especially towards the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? Is evident, that it exists, racism, what they call racism, that perpetual hatred, that enmity, like the Lord said in the book of Genesis, he would put enmity between the serpent seed and the woman seed, right? So that's hatred. So that hatred is evident, right? So a lot of them, like he just pointed out, a lot of them Edomites that went into the military, they went in there just to get training in preparation of this, what they call a holy war. I forgot what he called it, but that's prophecy, man, right? So that's why King David made his prayer, man, because Because you don't know these devils' intentions, what they really think in their mind. You know, like the scripture says, the heart of what is it? I forgot. Heart of man. I think it's Psalms. But you don't. Right. This one you can use is on Proverbs 19:21. It says there are many devices in man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of Yahawah that shall stand. Right. So there are many devices. There are many ideas in man's heart, and the scripture also says, the heart is wicked above all things. Who shall know it? Right. And you know Esau Edom is the wicked, so they constantly plotting wickedness, you know, especially against Jake, right? They constantly got wicked and ill thoughts intended for you, right? So you know these devils, you know, you think a lot of these Jakes out here think Esau really have good intentions for him, but it's the opposite, you know. As in water face, let me see. The heart is a wicked above all. Right. Deceitful, right? Jeremiah 17:9, it says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Right. So these devils got all type of wickedness plotted in their mind, man. Right? And you don't know that their intentions is to do you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, their intentions is to do harm to you. Like he said, there a lot of them went in there, extremists with open arms, and their intentions was to their intentions is to is to learn military combat training to use on this holy war that they intend will break out in America. Right, that's their whole intention. A lot of them didn't even believe in this war on terror. Right, which, like I said, when you are out there on the battlefield, especially these Edomites, they know when you're out there in the battlefield, you see what is what. You know, a lot of them see that they're basically fighting civilians. So yeah, I just want to bring that out, you know, because a lot of these Edomite supremacists just try to get training to come back to slaughter you, Jake, man. And that's a part of the Lord is allowing this devil, which is the wicked, to which is his sword, man, to use to be his sword, which is the wicked. Which I'm gonna just read that once again, and I'm gonna leave it off, because basically that's what Esau is. He's the wicked. And he is the sword of the whipping stick or the staff for Jake of a correction rod for Jake, correction tool, right? And that's what he is. He's the sword, which his blessing is the sword, weaponry. And their whole intentions was to go in the military and get training, military combat training to use on you. Psalm 17 and 13, it says, "Arise, O Yahawah, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword," right? From men which are from men which are thy hand, O Yahawah, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy head treasure. They are full of children, and they leave the rest of their substance to their babes. That's these Edomites, man. They were just had a just not too long ago. There was an ex-CIA agent. He was caught with like, I don't know how many, like 300 bars of gold. You know, I think it was 300 bars of gold or something like that, millions of dollars in expensive, luxurious watches like goddamn Rolexes. They had a bunch of Rolex watches, man. You know, and that's what they was doing when they raided Bin Laden, whatever. That guy had a bunch of gold, and they took it. They was taking pictures of it. You know, like it says, thou fillest, and who filleth thou. That's like who belly thou fillest with thy hid treasures, right? So you know they went in there and plundered, and you don't know what they took out. You know, some you know, and it's certain men, special forces or whatever, certain men went in there and did whatever they needed to do, and probably took back whatever they wanted. You know, taking back gold and other precious anything, you know, worth value, you know, to their liking, right? Just like this ex-CIA agent caught, and you know he ain't the only one. There was pictures of military personnel standing behind tons of gold, and I mean not tons, but you know, a lot of gold bars and all that from when they went over there in Afghanistan and invaded this Bin Laden character. Yeah, that's these Edomites, man. You know, they're preparing war. They're preparing war, just like this video shows you. They're preparing war. That's that nation shall rise against nation, and that's right around the corner, right? There's this extreme. I think I got one more. Let me see if I can find this video, because these Edomites basically they were saying let me see, they were showing something that might be it. I could find it. Might be on my might be on the other yeah, I think it's on the other one. It's on these Edomites right here.
I believe America will turn into an all-out race war. We've been saying that for years, and more non-whiting. I believe America will turn into an all-out race war. We've been saying that for years, and more non-white it gets, the more riots there's going to be. And by the year 2025, the white race is going to be a minority in this country. That means bigger riots and more blacks. It means more chaos. And we'll be ready to take our country back when it happens. Skinhead's a 24-hour soldier. Yeah. He wears his boots 24 hours a day. Wears new SS with Fourth Reich.
Hitler was very successful with his Hitler Youth movement. Most of the National Socialists that he recruited into the brown shirts were young when they were recruited. And I do not apologize for working primarily with the young. Our skinhead ranks are filled. First.
So yeah, they told you they preparing for war. They preparing for a race war. They don't like the fact that all these different races are in America, and they analyzing things, and they're seeing things are not how they want it suited, that white supremacy is obviously at is reigning. They don't see that. They don't see the so-called white man, obviously, which they are. Like, they are in control, but they want it to the extent of on some disrespectful level. Like, they can do whatever, say whatever, take whatever, and nobody can do anything about it. They don't want to see justice. All they want is they whatever they say goes. They don't want law, order, justice. They don't want none of that. They ideology is wicked. They want to do whatever they want to do, and that's it. If they feel like they want to take your life, they can take your life. They feel like they want to take something from you, they can take something from you, and that's it. That's how they want. They don't want you to be They don't want you to progress. They don't want you to be successful in America. They want you to be underneath them, slaves, or whatever, man. They want it obviously they want it to the point of obviously that you're beneath them, right? That's how they want it. It's an obvious thing that you're beneath them, and they're going in that, even they're going in their political stance. Their politically, or their government is going in that way, even by law, because Esau is the wicked, they are the wicked. But yeah, so that video shows you. I played it. I put that video up before, So yeah, that's why Esau is planning, man, in this prophecy. That's why the Lord is arousing these devils up, to feel that way in the spirit, because through prophecy. So I want to end it off there. Who was edifying to the elect. And I'm going to say, call her Yamah, Yahawah, bahasham, Rawchaa Rawchaa Qadash. Shalom to the next time. Yahawah Ratazah, which means Lord willing, and Wah Abba Babah.